Hi fashion lovers, you're welcome to another interesting video. In today's tutorial, we are going to be learning how to make a cowl neckline top with a drawstring skirt or a ruched skirt, just like what you are seeing on the screen. It is very easy and simple to make. This video is divided into two parts because of how long it is. So this is going to be the drafting and the cutting part, and the next tutorial is going to be a well-detailed sewing of this dress. So if you're interested, let's get started. So I'm going to get started by drafting or cutting the top, which is the cowl neck top. So I have my pattern here and I'm going to be drafting the back basic bodies. So that back basic bodies is what you are going to be using to cut out our front and back. So I went ahead to mark 8.5 inches from shoulder to my chest line, which is 8.5, my bust point, which is 10 inches, and my waistline, which is 15 inches. And then I will go ahead and rule a line. So the full length of this top is going to be 22 inches, which is the full length of this pattern. So I've gone ahead to mark my line. So I have my chest line, bust point, waistline, and the length. So from the shoulder here, from the starting point here, which is also the shoulder line, you mark half of your shoulder measurement, and on the chest line you mark half of your shoulder measurement, and with a straight line, a straight ruler, you connect your armhole line. And I'm going to be marking out 3 inches as the neckline, the width of the neckline, and 1.5 inches as the depth of the neckline. So I marked 3.5 inches as the neck width and 1.5 inches as the neck depth, and I came down by 1 inch to mark my shoulder slope. And then you want to go ahead and divide your armhole by 2 and go inward by half an inch. Then divide your bust by 4. That's 1/4 of your bust measurement. Mark on your chest line and then go ahead and connect your armhole. So that is what I did at this point. Did you see? So that is what I did. Because this cowl neck is not going to have a zipper, it's going to be a bit free. So I'm going to be adding 2.5 inches as the allowance. 1 inch is the sewing allowance, 1.5 inches is the ease allowance. Please take note of that. This cowl neck is not going to have a zipper, so I added 2.5 inches, which 1 inch is sewing allowance and 1.5 inches is the ease allowance. So on the waistline, I mark 1/4 of my waist circumference plus 2.5 inches. And on the hemline, I'm going to mark 1/4 of my upper hip circumference, plus 2.5 inches. 1 inch is for sewing allowance, 1.5 inches is for ease, because this dress is not going to be having a zipper attached to it. But if you're going to be adding zipper to yours, you can just mark only your sewing allowance and then add your zipper allowance. You can see this back part does not have zipper allowance, and the reason is because you are not adding zipper to it. So at this point, I am done drafting. So I decided to shorten the length of my top. So from the waistline towards the side seam, I came down by 5 inches. And on the center front from the waistline, I will come down by 6 inches. And then I will use a curve ruler to curve. I don't want the top to be that long. So I want the top to stop at 20 inches. That is just my preference, so you can do whatever you want. So on the side seam from the waistline, I came down by 5 inches to get it. So you can decide to leave your measurement, like you use your full top measurement. So after that, you cross check your measurement and then go ahead and cut. as you're cutting the neckline, add ½ inch, on the shoulder ½ inch, and on the armhole add ½ inch. So this ½ inch we are adding, we don't need to add it on the fabric. So this pattern has the full sewing allowance on it, so we don't need to add any other sewing allowance. So this is the beautiful fabric I'm working with. Is a crepe fabric, like a lighter crepe, not the thicker or medium type. I think this is like the lightest crepe, if I'm not mistaken. So the next thing I'm going to do is to cut out my back. So I'm going to cut out my back so that I will use this pattern and cut the front. Because of the cowl neck, you are going to be slitting the pattern, so we just have to cut out the back part first. So I'll just cut out the hem part, and I didn't add the hemming allowance, so I'm going to take it up by 1 inch, and that 1 inch is going to serve as my hemming allowance. And then I'll go ahead and cut other parts. The sewing allowance is already on the pattern, so I'm not adding any sewing allowance again. So go ahead and cut out your pattern. Please take note that the back part is on fold. So the back part is going to be on fold. We are not adding any zipper allowance to it. So after this back part, you can go ahead and cut your facing for the back. So we'll move over to the front part. So for the front part now, I'm going to slit the chest line. Did you see? You're going to slit the chest line. You're going to slit it like this. Please take note that you are not meant to cut out everything. At least leave like 0.25 inch on the chest line. You are not meant to cut out everything. So your pattern is going to be on fold, and you're going to be placing your pattern like this. Did you see? And you're going to be extending it up like this. So this part is the neckline, and the space I have in between is 7 inches. Do you see that? So you have to like remove my hand so that you will see. So the space in between is 7 inches. You can decide to have yours as 8 or 9, but what will happen is that you are going to have your cleavage showing. 7 inches is usually the best because your cleavage is not going to show. So on the upper part here, you are going to make a straight line. I'm trying to make a straight line. Sorry, my camera was not really clear at this point, but I was trying to make a straight line there. So that point is going to have a straight line from the tip of the shoulder to this part. Did you see? Is going to have a straight line. So I have to remove this pattern like this to cut out a straight line along that part. So I have to cut a straight line along that part. So when you have cut out the straight line, you go ahead and cut out your shoulder, then cut out your armhole. You can see I am not adding any allowance because the pattern paper already has the sewing allowance. So it makes it easier for me to cut. I'm sorry, I'm holding my pattern because at this point I have no pin to pin this pattern. Where I was drafting this, I forgot my pin, so I didn't have any pin to pin my pattern. So this is what we have. So with this now, we have cut out our cowl neck top. Did you see? So that is how a cowl neck top is being cut. It's actually very easy to do so. So you are going to arrange it like this. So you're going to arrange it like this, and this is what you are going to have. This is it. This is how your cowl neck top should be. It's actually very easy and simple. So we're going to move over to cut out our bishop sleeve. As you can see, I have folded my fabric into two, and the width of the fabric is about 15 inches. So I've marked out my starting point line. My shock is white, so you might not really see it. So I mark out my starting point line, which is here, and from that point I came down by 4 inches, which is going to be my sleeve cap or my cap side. So from the starting point line, I came down to mark 4 inches, which is going to be my cap's height. And from that point, you want to mark half of your armhole circumference, which mine is 7.5 inches. So you mark on the 7.5 inches. Then after marking 7.5 inches, you mark 1 inch for your sewing allowance. 1 inch for your sewing allowance. And then use your straight ruler from the starting point to the this point. Did you see, to the cap's height? After marking that slanty line, you want to divide this into two. This is like the best way to, this is like just to get a normal basic sleeve. So you want to get the middle of that point, and then you want to connect like this. Did you see? Connect. I'm sorry, my shock is not really showing this very well. And then you go up like this. Just make a connection around that point. So you come up by half an inch and go down by half an inch. So that is basically what I did. So the next thing is to get the length. You get the length of your sleeve. I want this sleeve to be a long sleeve. I don't want mine to be like 3/4. So the sleeve length I'm using is 25 plus 1 inch is going to give me 26. 1 inch is for the hemming allowance. So my sleeve length is actually 22, but I added 3 inches, making it 25, so that I'll have that fullness on my wrist. So the next thing you want to do is to mark half of your armhole circumference, which is 7.5, and then add extra 5 inches. So that is what I have on that end part. Half of my armhole circumference, which is 7.5, plus extra 5 inches, that is 12.5 inches. So that is what I'm going to have as the fullness on the hem part of my sleeve. So from the armhole here, you want to make a line, like a slanty line, to meet your hem part of your sleeve. You want to make a line to meet the hem part of your sleeve. So that is basically how to get your bishop sleeve. So basically this is what I have. Did you see that? So this is my bishop sleeve. You can make yours to be 3/4, but I want mine to be long. So this is what we have for our sleeve. So when you open it up, this is what you are going to have. Did you see? So this is what I have as my bishop sleeve. So we'll move over to the skirt part. So for the skirt part now, I have folded my skirt and I have my starting point line. So from that starting point line, I want to remove a band of 3 inches. Sorry about this. So I want to remove a band of 3 inches. I want my band to be 3 inches. So I'm going to keep my tape on 3 inches. So on that starting point line, I kept my tape on 3 inches. And from that point, I will go ahead and mark my waist to the hip line, which is 9. And then waist to the knee, which is 17 inches. And then waist to the full length. The full length I'm working with is 38 inches plus 2 inches for sewing allowance. Sorry, I didn't know my camera cut off that part. So at this point, I was marking the full length of 38 inches plus 2 inches for the sewing allowance. So the next thing you want to do is on your waistline, you mark 1/4 of your waist measurement. We are not adding a dart to this skirt. Take note of that. Then I'll go ahead and mark 1 inch for my sewing allowance. And on my hip is 37 inches. I will add 1 inch to it, making it 38. So that 8 divided by 4, whatever I have, I will mark, plus 1 inch for sewing allowance. I didn't add any ease to this. Take note of that. I just added only my 1 inch sewing allowance, and there is no dart because I'm going to be adding a drawstring to it. So whatever I have on the hip, I will remove 1 inch from it and mark on the hem, and then go ahead and connect. So I just divided my hip by 4, but before I divided my hip by 4, I added 1 inch to my hip measurement as is, and divided it by 4 and mark. So what I have on my hip, I remove 1 inch to mark on my hem. So now I'm going to be marking like a line to like an A line shape. So on the down part of this, I'm sorry, my camera didn't show that part. I marked 15 inches. Please take note of that. I marked 15 inches plus 1 inch for sewing allowance. So then you want to go ahead and connect it to the knee line like this. So on my hem part, I marked 15 inches as the A-line shape and 1 inch for my sewing allowance. Did you see that? Sorry, my camera didn't show it very well. This is what we have. So this hem part now, this is the sewing allowance of 2 inches, or the hemming allowance. So this hem part, I mark 15 inches plus 1 inch for the sewing allowance. So if you are a very plus size, you can use 18 inches. This is because this skirt you are working with is an A-line shape. Then you want to go ahead and cut it out. So when you have cut it out, this is what you are going to have. So we just want to work on the waistline. To work on the waistline, go up on the side by half an inch, just the way we cut our skirt, and go down by on the side center, or on the center front by half an inch and connect. This is just the way we do our normal skirt. Go up by half an inch on the side seam and go down by half an inch on the waist, on the center front, and then as you are cutting, you add your half-inch sewing allowance on the waistline following that curve. And with this, we are done with the front part. So we are going to move over to the back part. So I went ahead to add my front part to the back part, and I added 1 inch sewing allowance on the back part. You can see that is 1 inch sewing allowance. So on the waistline, you want to come inward by 1 inch to eliminate zipper bulge, and then you connect to the hip line. So you remove 1 inch from this part, and then that 1 inch you remove on the waistline of the back, you want to add it back to this point. Did you see? The 1 inch you remove, you come. So let me just straighten this part, the waistline of the back now. So 1 inch that you remove at the back, you want to add it back on the side of the back. Did you see? So I've added it back. On the hip, on the knee line, you also remove 1 inch. Did you see? You're going to remove 1 inch and then connect it up to the hip line. Did you see? Connect it up. We're also going to remove 1 inch from the knee line and connect it up. So that 1 inch you remove on the knee line, you want to come to the side and add it back. That 1 inch you remove on the knee line, come to the side and add it back. So the reason why we are doing this is because we want a very nice curve at the back. This is the way you draft your basic skirt. So I'm going to go ahead and cut now. So you cut through this part. Did you see? So this is the back part. Then you trim off this excess to the hip, and also trim off this excess to the knee line. And for that, from that knee down, we're going to be cutting off that 1 inch we added as the zipper allowance. You're going to be cutting it off because you want to achieve a nice curve. And that 1 inch you are cutting off, we are going to come towards this side and add it back. So you're going to be adding it back towards this side. Did you see? Add it back towards this side. So that is how you get your skirt, the back part of your skirt, because the back part of your skirt and the front are not the same. So add back that 1 inch and then cut out like this. So with this now, this is what we have for the back. Did you see? This is what we have for the back. Did you see? The back has a curve. Did you see that? So to add your zipper allowance, you are going to be tracing 1 inch. You know, we added 1 inch to the side so that to replace the zipper allowance that we cut off. So you're going to be marking 1 inch following the curve like this. Mark 1 inch following the curve, and you're going to do that to the end and then connect. So this is how you're going to be fixing your zipper. Following your curve at the back, you mark 1 inch, and that is how you're going to be fixing your zipper. Then you can just, keep your tape on 3 inches. we cut out 3 inches for band. We're adding a 3 inches band, and then you measure out where your zipper is going to be. Mine is going to be on 8 inches, and then you want to go ahead and stitch the zipper allowance. Now stitch to the down part. This is not going to have a slit because of the A shape that we are working with. So in the next tutorial, I'm going to show you how to sew this beautiful cowl neck and to make the drawstring. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. If you have gotten value from this video, please do me a favor by liking this video. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in my next tutorial. Till then, bye bye.